Haven't put up a video in a while. We've been having some hard drive issues, but it's time to plant soup peas. It's actually way past time to plant soup peas. I could have planted them easily a month and a half ago, but you know, between one thing and another and getting market crops put in, I never got around to it this year, and so we're putting them in a little bit late. I'm actually putting them in with my first planting of dry beans, but we'll see how they do. I feel like the soup peas are a lot more resilient in terms of like too much heat and too much cold compared to, you know, your vegetable peas. And I've got 3 varieties that I've been working with. The one in the bag here is, I call it Nash's Yellow. I got it from a friend out in Oregon now, he is. But this is a dwarf hyper-tendril standard modern soup pea. So this does not require trellising. It doesn't produce any leaves. It produces hyper-tendrils. So it's sort of it stands on its own. These guys, these 2 other varieties are tall vining peas. They're kind of old-fashioned, sort of medieval type soup peas. And Joseph Blue Pod I got from Joseph Lofthouse a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure it's just a strain of Capucijners, which is a blue podded soup pea from Holland, or maybe Denmark, I think Holland. And then this Australian is a pea that I got from Krista Rome from the Backyard Beans and Grains project, which I believe is now called Resilient Seeds. And she used to sell this variety through Backyard Beans and Grains. She doesn't sell this one anymore, I don't think, but I kind of like it, and it's a really interesting colored pea. It's got like sort of these odd sort of dinosaur-y looking striations on the seed, so I really like the look of this one. But these are both vining peas, and when you cook these, they do not turn into a puree. They're more like a dry bean where they stay intact, and I kind of like that feature. And I'm interested in exploring soup peas as, you know, a potential grain legume crop for, you know, homestead food production. And so I'm kind of on the fence as to whether or not, because I like these peas better, these old-fashioned peas better in terms of, you know, culinary use, but I really like sort of the agronomic qualities of these modern peas with their dwarf, you know, the trellising is what really gets me down. And so I'm contemplating doing some breeding work with these old-fashioned peas and these modern hyper-tendril peas to see if I can't come up with something with sort of like this old-fashioned, you know, structure and cooking quality and flavor, and the modern, you know, plant structure. I think that would be kind of the best of both worlds for me. Probably not for anyone else, but anyway, I'm gonna plant these peas. So basically all I do is I have inoculant. So I wet the, you know, the seed slightly, and, you know, so that I can attach the inoculant. Then I throw it in my Planet Junior there, and then I seed myself a row. And I finally got enough of these peas to seed a decent amount. So that's what we're doing. regular old pea inoculant. All right. So, one other thing that I want to mention is I've got one single row of Australian, one single row of Joseph's Blue Pod, and then I was able to, in the same amount of space, do 3 rows of Nash's Yellow at about an 18-inch spacing, whereas the Australian and the Blue Pod are going to be trellised, and I'm going to have to, so they're at more like a 36-inch spacing. So basically we got 3 rows of the dwarf untrellised peas to every 1 row of the vining old-fashioned soup peas. So I want to kind of get a yield assessment, since there's basically the same acre-foot area of ground being used for these 3 varieties, and I'd be interested to see, you know, how much actual dry bean protein or dry legume protein we get out of the 2 different, the plant architectures, basically the agronomic features of the dwarf hyper-tendril pea versus the trellised long vining pea. So I would say probably you're going to get more peas per individual vine from a vining pea than from the dwarf pea, but since you can fit so many more dwarf peas per, you know, square foot, you're going to probably end up with a higher average yield, all things being equal, and you don't have the hassle of trellising. So we'll see how it works out.